Hey friends, welcome back to the farm. If you've been with us here lately, you know we just harvested a bunch, 210 to be exact, pie pumpkins from the garden. So I saw a really good pumpkin pie recipe from I believe the 1700s and 1800s that I found very interesting. So I want to make that today. So why don't you all come along for the ride, and I'll let you know how it comes out. So the reason this pie recipe interested me is because it's sweetened with molasses instead of refined sugar. And it's said to be not as crazy sweet as the normal pumpkin pie recipe, which is right up my alley. So we're going to give this recipe a shot. Let's go out here and get some pumpkins out of the garden. So here's all of our pumpkins still out here in the garden. We're letting them cure a little bit, kind of harden up before we take them in for storage. I'm going to pick a couple nice ones here and we'll get them in the house. Got a couple nice specimens here of similar size. They're both nice and orange, which means the flavors in the pumpkins have been fully developed. So let's get these babies in the house. Got one of our big half sheet pan cookie sheets. We've got our oven preheating to 400 degrees. So I'm going to take this little testing tool that we have for seeing if cupcakes are done. And you just want to pierce through the top of the pumpkin like that. You want to create holes because this is going to heat up. And we don't want our pumpkins to explode in the oven. So that'll give it a little bit of room to vent. So these go in a 400 degree oven for about an hour. You don't even have to take the seeds out or anything. We can do that later. All right, in they go. Now this is not the only way to cook a pumpkin, but I believe it's the best way. A lot of people just clean the pumpkin and peel it, put it in a pot of boiling water and cook it that way till it's soft. I don't like doing it that way because you lose a lot of your flavor in the water. When you bake it like this, the flavor is locked in fact, actually even concentrates as some of that water steams out of the pumpkin, and you get a lot better finished product. Okay, it's been an hour. We're going to check our pumpkins. They pierce real easy, so we'll take them out. Look how pretty those are. You can hear them bubbling on the inside. So we're going to let these cool off, and then we'll cut them in half, scoop the seeds out, and then we can get the pulp out of them. And then once that cools off, we'll be ready to make our pies. Okay, it's pumpkin time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my knife. I'm going to go right around our stem here so we can remove that. We'll do that to both. And then we'll cut them right down the middle and lay them open. Now once you cut them in half and lay them open, the inside literally just scoops out super easy. All that stuff that normally you have to scrape out real hard just comes right out really easy. And what also happens is your skin just peels right off. Just like that. So we're going to clean all this up and we'll put all this good pumpkin in a bowl. Look at this. Can't get any easier than that. Now if you weren't making pie, throw a little butter and brown sugar on this. You got yourself a good side dish for supper. Or you could go savory like we did the other night. A little butter, salt and pepper, some herbs, whatever you like. And you got supper as well. All right, we'll get these other ones done. There is all of our pumpkin. Now, I don't know if you've ever had pumpkin made this way, but I can literally eat it just like this. Tastes really good. If any of you ever made the same mistake as I did when I was little, I saw the can of pumpkin in the cupboard, and I'm like, wow, I can have like pumpkin pie without all that nasty crust. Opened the can of pumpkin and started to eat it, thinking that it would taste like a pumpkin pie. Sadly mistaken. Does not taste anything like pumpkin pie. And I can tell you, this right here, I can eat just like this, unlike the stuff in the can. This is fantastic, like a sweet potato flavor. Really good. Maybe something else you didn't know is a lot of your store-bought pumpkin pies, they actually use a lot of sweet potatoes in those because sweet potatoes are cheaper than pumpkins. So you can see that our pumpkin's got kind of a stringiness to it, somewhat like spaghetti squash. We got a little trick up our sleeve because we don't want a stringy pumpkin pie filling. So I'm going to actually eat this, but we're going to do something with the rest of this that'll keep that from happening. And how we're going to accomplish that is the food mill. I'm going to put it in our measured container here. It's got measurements on it, so we know how much pumpkin we have when we're done. Throw it in there, turn the crank. Okay, there's all of our silky smooth pumpkin. Now, if you were thinking, wow, that would be a really good way to make baby food, yes, it is. And that's what the moms did back in the day. They ran just regular everyday food that everybody ate through the food mill, and you had instant baby food. A baby would tear this pumpkin up. Now, if you're wondering how much pureed pumpkin a pumpkin will make, makes about 1 quart, which is enough for 2 pies or 4 cups. We have enough for 4 pies, but we're only making 2. We'll keep the rest for a dinner or some kind of side dish, something like that, or we can make some other little dessert ramekins or something like that. Next thing I want to do is get our pie crust ready. We're using ready-made pie crust from the store. These are Pillsbury brand that come in the red box. If you're not going to make your own pie crust, these are about the closest thing you are going to get to homemade pie crust. They get nice and flaky. I really enjoy these pie crusts. First thing we got to do, however, is preheat our oven to 450. And these things have sat out long enough to where they will unroll. You want to make sure that they're like room temperature. Otherwise, when you get towards the inside of the roll, when you're unrolling, it'll crack. So I'll get both of these unrolled, put in our pie dish. Okay, oven's ready. We pierce the bottom of the pie crust with a fork a bunch of times. So once the steam gets up underneath there, it'll have a place to vent out and not bubble up the middle of our pie. We're going to bake these at the 450 degrees for about 10 or 12 minutes until they're cooked. Okay, our crust took right at 10 minutes. We don't want to brown them too much, so just barely cooked. And then we're going to let these cool. And when these get cool, we're going to start putting our pie filling together. All right, we're ready to put our pie filling together, starting with 4 eggs, and we got 2 cups of our pumpkin puree. We're going to put this together and scramble that together so the eggs mix well. If you put too much liquid in there at first, the eggs won't mix very well. Now we're going to go with our dry seasoning. We've got 1.5 teaspoons of allspice and 2 teaspoons of ginger going in. Going to get that mixed in. Now we've got 1 quart of milk. I'm going to put all that in. And 1 cup of really good molasses. We're using our molasses from Muddy Pond, Tennessee. Really good stuff. The store-bought stuff at the grocery store is not so good, but it'll work in a pinch. Now we're going to give that a stir. This seems like way too much for one pie. I don't know how big their pie shells were back in the day. We might just get 2 pies out of this one mix. Got it all mixed up, so we're going to go ahead and go into the pie shell, and then we need to make a cover to protect our crust. So for your crust protector, you take a square of foil and you fold it diagonally a bunch of times until you get a slender triangle, and then I'll show you what to do with it after that. Got our foil folded up. We're going to measure this on the pie to the center, and then we'll cut it about here and then right inside the outer crust here, so you have just a ring left, and then you unfold it and put it around the crust. I haven't filled these completely full because I want to put them down on the shelf, because I want to fill them up to the top, but they're too hard to put in the oven that way. Let me get both of these made and then we'll get that done. There's our crust cover. It's not actually all the way put on yet. If you find out that it comes out too big, you just crimp the side a little bit and fold it over, and that'll make the circle smaller. Here's our cute little pie hats. Put them down on the rack now. We'll get them filled up, slid into the oven. Okay, we very carefully slid those babies in there. Had enough to make a couple little ramekins. We're going to close this baby up. So those are going to bake at 350 degrees for 75 to 80 minutes. And I know that's a long time, and that's why you got to make sure to cover up that crust. Otherwise that crust is going to get way too brown. It may anyway, but we'll live with that. The rest of our pumpkin puree I'm going to save in 2-cup packages, just in bags in the freezer. And then whenever we want to make a pie, we just have to pull one of those containers out. Got 2 packages, pint packages, 2 cups of pumpkin for the freezer. So we have enough to do 2 more of these recipes if we wanted, so 4 pies. As for the rest of it, a little salt and pepper and some butter, and I'm having some of that for supper. This 200-year-old recipe is clear back when this country was first settled. Comes from that long ago. Some of the settlers that came here to settle the United States, or what became the United States, literally would have starved to death if it hasn't been for the pumpkins and stuff that were grown here by the native people. In fact, did you know that the first recognized kind of Thanksgiving celebration was actually in December and not in November? Here's our pumpkin pie. Took right at 70 minutes. The crust got a little brown on the outside, but I knew it would cooking that long. Pulled the ramekins out a little early because they were ready. This one got a weird kind of deviation in it here. So we're going to let this cool a little bit and we'll give it a try. I'm going to try one of these little ramekins. Looks good. I like it. It's got a really rustic flavor to it because of the molasses in it. That molasses really comes through. And it doesn't taste like your pumpkin pie that you're used to, that you would get like at the store. But I like it. If you've got a crazy, crazy sweet tooth, you'd probably want a little more sweetness, but it's plenty sweet for me. Plenty. I think it'd be too sweet if you put any more, but I know some people would think this isn't sweet enough. It's got kind of a custard feel to it. I really enjoy that. That tastes like pumpkin pie probably used to taste 200 years ago, back when they made this recipe. Well, I hope you try this recipe because I think you'll be pleasantly surprised with the outcome. I know I'm probably going to make this recipe again because I enjoy it that much, especially when I get some more of that good molasses. That's going to be a good use for it right there. And I know Mom will probably love this too, so we're going to take some to Mom and let her try some of this. I think she'll really like it. And I just got to figure out a way to keep from burning that crust so much. Maybe protect it a little bit better with the foil, crimp it around there or something. But otherwise it turned out fantastic. So hope you enjoyed this recipe, and I hope you come back and see us real soon here on Mark Kelly Farm. Till then, stay safe, stay healthy. Love you guys. See you soon.